Since ancient times, the knowledge and mysteries within the scriptures have been a boundless source of fascination and controversy. Imagine how many texts have been lost or set aside through the countless translations and adaptations over the centuries. The Testament of Solomon, for example, is one such mysterious scripture that was excluded from biblical compilations. This rare text reveals a curious facet of Solomon, in which he supposedly gained power over spirits and entities, a remarkable ability that went far beyond the common wisdom attributed to him. Many have never even heard of this, and who knows what else lies hidden, waiting to be uncovered. In the time when Solomon ruled in Jerusalem, spiritual power was believed to be attainable only by a chosen few. Solomon is said to have received a sacred ring, a gift from the archangel Michael, which granted him the power to control invisible and mysterious forces, such as demons and nature spirits. Isn't it fascinating to think that the king used this power to raise the magnificent temple, considered one of the wonders of the time? If we take a moment to reflect, there's an intriguing lesson here about how each piece of knowledge has its proper time to be revealed. Perhaps we can even learn something for our own quest for understanding. The exclusion of such texts raises questions about how much ancient knowledge truly reached us and how we should interpret it. There are treasures in old books, often hidden away in forgotten libraries and archives. The idea of seeking out this knowledge may seem a bit exotic, but imagine the insights you could find. In fact, if you ever have the opportunity, try reading other apocryphal manuscripts or rare texts. It may be challenging, but these writings offer fascinating perspectives on what our ancestors considered essential for life and the human spirit. And speaking of power, there's something even deeper when it comes to the power to control the invisible. The authority Solomon received to dominate demons is both fascinating and symbolic. Imagine, with a simple ring, he was able to subdue forces that terrified ordinary men. This ring, a gift from Archangel Michael, represented not only an amulet of power but also a true spiritual pact. By wearing it, Solomon could command demons to carry out tasks such as the construction of his temple. It's almost as if he were a master alchemist, transforming destructive forces into something useful and grand. This control over the unseen demonstrates how spiritual power can shape reality in surprising ways. Under his command, demons began to serve a purpose that had previously been unimaginable. Each entity had its role in building the temple, showing that even the darkest forces can be redirected. Imagine a being able to control the invisible forces around him, using them for the good of his city and his people. Today, this idea still resonates. How can we harness our own inner forces, including those that aren't always so good, to build something positive? Thus, Solomon's story also reminds us that power is only valuable when used with wisdom. Controlling demons, however, was not without risks. Every invocation and command required deep knowledge and unwavering faith. This spiritual mastery reveals a delicate balance between good and evil, something that is challenging to maintain, even in everyday life. Solomon had to stay vigilant so that the ring's power would not corrupt him, which leads us to reflect on the nature of the pacts we make in our lives, whether with people, our own limits, or even our ambitions. After all, in seeking dominion over the forces around us, can we always maintain control over ourselves? Solomon's first encounter with the demon Ornias was quite a test. Ornias was a demon known for draining people's vitality, especially that of children, making him a threatening presence. However, Solomon, with his sacred ring, not only managed to intimidate him, but also subdued him, forcing him to bring other demons under his control. This moment was a clear demonstration of how divine power, represented by the ring, could subdue hostile forces, transforming threats into allies. This example makes us think about what it means to confront our own demons and use them to our advantage. By giving Ornias the ring, Solomon was demonstrating confidence in his own power and wisdom. He knew that by asserting his authority over the demon, Ornias would have no choice but to obey. This situation reminds us that, often, when facing something that frightens us, we must first display unshakable self-confidence. It could be a challenging situation in life, like a new project at work, or a difficult conversation. By exerting authority over our fears and doubts in a similar way, we gain control rather than being controlled. Ornia's relationship with other demons, like Beelzebub, shows that even the most formidable powers can be organized and tamed. When Solomon ordered Ornius to bring other demons under his command, he effectively created a structure of control over the unknown. This concept can be applied in our lives. Imagine organizing your own internal challenges and setting clear plans to overcome them, turning obstacles into steps toward success. This story prepares us to understand more about the connection between demons and cosmic forces, which Solomon would explore next. When Solomon began questioning the demons about their cosmic connections, he sought a deeper understanding of the invisible influences governing the world. Each demon was associated with a zodiac sign and a constellation, which, according to them, directly affected their actions and weaknesses. This knowledge allowed Solomon to see beyond the visible, connecting human behavior to greater forces that acted without people even being aware. It's like recognizing that the cycles of life are linked to forces often beyond our control. By identifying the signs and weaknesses of each demon, Solomon not only weakened them, but also revealed their essence. He understood that by knowing what drives these forces, he could defend himself from them or use them for good. Today, aligning with cosmic influences might seem abstract, but this idea is reflected in small details, like understanding our personal cycles and seizing favorable moments to make important decisions. It's as if Solomon was teaching us to become masters of our own synergy with the universe. This cosmic understanding gave Solomon a unique perspective on human health and weaknesses. By discovering that each demon influenced certain diseases and emotions, he gained an almost medical view of the soul and body. This knowledge could be seen as a primitive form of astrology applied to health, where symptoms and behaviors were associated with higher forces. For us, this reminds us of the importance of knowing our limitations and seeking help when needed. Solomon was just beginning to unravel the various personalities of these demons, preparing to encounter prominent entities yet to come. Solomon met powerful demons, each with unique characteristics and abilities that made them formidable. Among them were figures like Asmodeus, known for his influence over lust and desire, and Wrath, the lion-bearer, who embodied immense strength and nearly insurmountable pride. These demons were not just ordinary entities. Each specialized in causing specific kinds of harm, often aligned with zodiac signs. By understanding them, Solomon saw the dimension and depth of the impact these entities could have on humanity. Each encounter was a lesson on the power and dangers of human nature. Asmodeus, for example, personified the desire for destruction in relationships and temptations that lead to discord. Solomon saw this as an opportunity to better understand such forces' influence on human emotions. This lesson translates to our lives. Recognizing when an invisible force drives us to act harmfully is the first step in taming it. Imagine knowing that some of our temptations and impulses have deep roots in archetypes and ancestral influences. Another example is the dragon-like spirit, whose powerful presence showed how chaotic forces could affect our daily lives. By subduing it, Solomon was telling the world that even the most disturbing influences could be controlled with intelligence and faith. This idea inspires us to think about the dragons we face, those seemingly insurmountable obstacles. And it's interesting to note that Solomon still had much to learn from these encounters, as other entities with unique energies like the cosmic sisters awaited his next investigation. When Solomon encountered the 7 sisters, feminine spirits associated with the Pleiades, he saw the complexity of the emotions and powers these cosmic figures exerted over humans. Each one represented a force affecting the hearts and minds of people: envy, error, power, and others. These sisters were not merely entities. They were reflections of human weaknesses and desires manifested spiritually. From them, Solomon learned that many emotional difficulties humans face may have hidden origins linked to higher, unknown forces. The presence of the sisters brought a new awareness of the influences surrounding and affecting our decisions. Imagine that each of these figures represents aspects of life we deal with daily: Envy, for instance, can be like a subtle spirit, undermining our peace and pushing us toward destructive actions. Power, while it can be a positive force, can also turn into tyranny. Solomon's encounter with the sisters of the Pleiades reinforces how essential it is to recognize and manage these influences within us, preventing them from taking control. Solomon saw in these sisters a parallel with the cosmos itself, forces that, though distant, shape behaviors and emotions. Today, many view these influences as metaphors for our inner battles, but for Solomon, the sisters were clear evidence of the connection between the spiritual and the human. By subduing them, he sent a message. Balance can be found, even amid chaotic and mysterious forces. And so, he continued his journey to understand these entities' impact on his life and the fate of his kingdom. Through his interactions with demons, Solomon began hearing prophecies foretelling his downfall. These spirits warned that his dominion would not last forever and that he would eventually fall into practices that would cause him to lose everything he had achieved. To him, these words initially seemed absurd. After all, he possessed the power of the ring and divine wisdom. However, these prophecies began to take shape as Solomon became increasingly involved in alliances and desires that led him away from his original path. This is a powerful reminder of how power, when not carefully managed, can become a trap. These predictions of downfall invite profound reflection. Even the wisest man can fall when his vision is clouded by vanity or temptation. Drawn by political alliances and influenced by new passions, Solomon gradually drifted from the virtues that once guided him. This slow, almost imperceptible drift is a danger we all might face. How often, in our eagerness for something we desire, do we ignore the warning signs around us? Thus, the words of the demons become almost like preventative lessons, showing how easy it is to lose oneself in imprudent choices. In the end, Solomon's fate serves as a warning about the dangers of straying from what is essential and the commitment to our values. When he finally yielded to the pressures of worshiping other gods, the prophecy was fulfilled, and the great king lost his glory, power, and divine favor. His story reminds us that no matter how much wisdom and power we gain, the real challenge is to remain true to what is right, even when tempted by what seems easy or pleasurable. And so, at the close of his reign, Solomon recorded his testament, leaving a legacy of lessons for those who would come. Conclusion. After delving into Solomon's story and his quest for control over invisible forces, we're left with a big question. How are you handling your own demons? Are you, unlike Solomon, focusing on values that truly matter? Or are you gradually drifting into temptations and distractions? It's not only kings who face difficult choices. We all, on a smaller scale, are daily confronted with decisions that shape our lives and relationships. What we can learn from Solomon is that no matter how much power or knowledge we possess, the true challenge is to maintain control and prevent our achievements from turning against us. Perhaps now you feel inspired to seek greater understanding of the influences affecting your decisions, as Solomon did. Or maybe you're ready to strengthen your values to avoid repeating his mistakes. Wisdom lies in listening and applying what has been learned. And who knows, Solomon's journey might be the start of a new path for you. If this reflection has brought something new to you, then it has already been worth it. To continue learning and delving into topics like this, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications so that you don't miss any content that might further enrich your journey towards self-knowledge and understanding of the mysteries governing our lives. Are you ready for this next step?